Welcome to Stitching with Cindy Botts. This time I'm talking about another traditional block. This is the courthouse stairs or courthouse steps block, and I've chosen to scrap it up. Now, traditionally each row is one fabric. So traditionally the light fabric goes one way and the dark fabric goes another. The other scrappy way I've seen it is light fabrics going this way, dark fabrics going this way, but each row, each strip is one solid fabric. So this might be a blue fabric and this row a green fabric. This whole row another fabric. As you can see, it's made in rows, and that fabric would be one fabric that entire length, and then another fabric here if you were doing the scrappy way. If you were doing the traditional one color way, then you would be doing the same color, darks on one side, lights on the other. I decided to scrap it up. Now, Missouri Star Quilt Company has a courthouse stairs, courthouse steps tutorial out, and it's wonderful. She uses, I believe, the jelly roll strips, which are 2.5 inches. Be mindful if you use her video that your measurements are all going to be different, because the paper stripping for the back of your block is only 2 1/4. It's only 2.25 instead of 2.5. All right, so you're off by 1/4 of an inch on the width of each of your strips, your rows. So again, it's a great tutorial. Hope you check it out. It does a great variation on how to put your blocks together once you make them. She has you making a block that has a solid color center or a dark colored center, however you want to say that. And then she has you making a second block where the light color is in the center. And that has to do with how she's going to arrange the blocks for the final configuration, the final sewing together. Okay, so you might want to check that out. But it really is a simple pattern. You start with one square in the middle, add 2 squares to the side, then you add your rows on each side, and you keep going around and around in this square making fashion. Okay, so the next part for this one would be to add the strip of white at the top, add the strip of white at the bottom, then to send in the rows of the scrap. Now, to make these scrappy rolls using your adding machine tape, you just take your piece of adding machine tape. Now, usually it's white until you get to the end of the roll, and then it's this bluey color. Okay, at least mine were. You take your piece of adding machine tape and you lay a piece of fabric on it. Could go to this side, but it's so small. You lay a piece of fabric on it, then you lay another piece of fabric on it, and you sew your 1/4 inch seam, and then you do the next one and the next one, and each time you just fold it back, press it down, and add the next color on it. Okay, so that is easy enough to do. A lot of tutorials out there on how to do that. Very simple, very fun. I really like doing it. So let's go into my table runner here that I got going on. So here is my table runner. I'm just trying to slide everything down. I do apologize for any wobbliness. I do all my recording on my phone. So that's where it's at. So this, as you can see, is this block right here. with the next white strip added on. Okay, so I'll just show you that. So this is the block we were just talking about. We talked about how to add the next strip. All right, so that block would just need to be finished up to be set here. Okay, so that's that block right there. Now, I made that block again, and it is right here. So this gap in between, I have chosen to go ahead and put another layer in there. All right, so let me just slide this closer together. So again, if I had completed this block and not used it for the little mock-up session that I just did with you, it would have white on each side. Okay, so that piece would be done. Okay, so here is the other one that is finished. All right, but it doesn't have this row. It is only this length. So I just go ahead and cut another piece of your adding machine tape row to fit between the two blocks. And that's how I get this design. So you have one, then a strip, two, oops, I'm sorry, let's start that again. You have one block there, then the long strip, then a second block, and a long strip. And if I do that again down here, it will have this effect. Let me just see where my white little mock-up pieces are. And I'll show you in a minute why I didn't put those on for the mock-up version. Okay. So there is my table runner. I like it. I think that design is really, really cool. But there is more you can do. So let me just take off this one here at the end so that we can see what other things we can do. Now, let me just slide this over a little bit. And we'll talk about putting on a second row. Okay, so here is my square that I did up without this one white. Remember I said I left one off. This is why. Because I wanted to show you this mock-up that you could do by leaving that one row of white off. So you could get this little secondary pattern going again too. Again, I would put my filler strip in and then my next block. And then you get this type pattern. You can see it start to grow. All right. And I think that's how I will finish this as a wall hanging. As a table runner, I would just bind what I previously showed you. Just this one strip here. Make it longer. And then put a border on it. The border, I think I would use my measuring tape strips as the border. So my border would be my measuring strips. If I was doing this as a table runner, I would just have it be one block wide. But if I chose to do it as the, let's just see here. If I chose to do it as the wall hanging style, then I would probably have at least three wide. All right. And you can see that secondary pattern popping up. Let's get a better view. How's that? That's a pretty good view right there. All right, so this is the courthouse steps or courthouse stairs. Super scrappy, using the adding machine tape variety. And if you want more information about how just to construct a normal, traditional courthouse steps, check out Missouri Star Quilt Company. It's a great tutorial, and it'll get you the basics on how to sew this block together. But again, it's simply starting with a square in the middle. Now, my squares for this, let me give you my measurements. And I had to do a lot of trimming, okay? You can see even here, I still have a little bit of a bubble. Not a lot, but a little bit. And I thank the subscriber who gave me that tip about really keeping the paper on it until after you get your block fully assembled and sewn together, because yes, there's a little bit, but a little bit of pressing is going to take that right out. So thank you. Shout out to her. I don't want to say her name in case she doesn't want it said, but I thank you for those tips. I think in quilting and sewing, it's a community where we should learn from each other and each of us grow. All right. So happy stitching. If you like this video, please hit that like button. Tell your friends. Subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll talk to you next time. Have a great night. Happy stitching.